Greetings, Rob.
Well, hello there.
Hello, and hello to everyone out there in the PGS community.
Yeah.
Things are running a little slow on my computer. I apologize if things are looking a little choppy. I'll try to close out some things here while I am tweaking things around. So apologies if the stream is looking a little choppy for folks. Rob, how you doing? How's your Saturday going? How's this Memorial Day going?
It's going well. You know, I'm gonna. My father was a World War II veteran. Actually, he worked in communications. He didn't see any combat. He was up in Alaska, but he flew on a plane with Douglas MacArthur once. And but he was stationed in Alaska, and he had a love of Alaska there. I mean, it was cold and wasn't nearly as populated as it is now, and it's not even that populated now. But he used to go fishing up in Alaska like every year. He'd go up to like Nome and plays Anchorage and places like that. So
I knew people who worked in a radio station in Nome, Alaska. It was like the one media channel out there. KNOM. K-Nome. So, all right. Well, welcome everybody. We are live on YouTube. For those of you who are members of the channel, remember, if you go to the Burnettwork YouTube page, there's a community tab, and all members have access to the link that has you join the actual chat on Zoom so that we can spend a little bit of time talking with our favorite viceroy of verisimilitude, the one and only Robert Meyer Burnett. So, Rob, I think we're ready to let people in.
Let everybody in. Let them all in.
Yeah, let me double check that the view is set up. So we're going to go ahead and let our waiting room participants in. So here we go. Wait, hold on. Let me double check, make sure that all of my settings here are all okay. Yeah, we're good. And here we go. Boom.
Look at everybody. It's a cascade of members.
Cascade of members. A waterfall. A waterfall of fandom.
It is a waterfall of fandom. And you know who's here? Fernando Borrero is here.
Fernando is here. And
so is the Vixter, all the way from Blighty.
Vixter is here. Julian is here. Who's been putting out a ton of content, is here.
Yes.
Yes. I think is it King Tannic here? I think I saw King Tannic.
He is here. King Tannic is
Hi,
here.
King Tannic.
What's with the comment about I'm going to cancel your show, dude? Come on, what's up with that? I'm not going to cancel your show. We're building your audience. Come on, I went on Harloff's show to get to gin up some more audience for you. I love your show. We want to make you the heartthrob of the anime community. I'm going to go to the Anime Expo here in LA and like pass out
flyers.
Otaku experience flyers.
Make little stickers. We need to make stickers.
Fly you in and put you on a panel. Get a lot of what was it? Weeb? I don't even understand weeb. What is it when you like Japanese girls, anime characters? I don't know what that is. Weebing. I don't know. Whatever. Got to do that. We gotta get you you could be the male equivalent of Blackpink. All you have to do is sing. Can you sing? I don't know. Probably not. You can sing. Well, there you go. You were because you went. You can. You could. We'll work it out. I don't even know what I'm saying. I probably got canceled just now. Who knows?
Well, you can't get canceled out of your own channel, hopefully. So
sure you can.
That's true.
Bleed subscribers. Everybody don't watch that douchebag.
That's true. All right. Well, how this works, folks, if you are in the Zoom chat, remember that under the reactions tool in the Zoom chat, you can select to raise your hand. And then I will do my best to call people in order that they raise their hand and have them join Rob here in the chat. We have a timer, 7 minutes in heaven or 7 minutes with Rob. And Rob, I've decided I'm not going to put the timer on screen. It takes up too much screen time and it's not needed. But if people need to keep track of the time, find my window in the Zoom chat. That'll have the timer running so you have a sense of how much time you've got. So I will make sure to, interrupt when it's time to move to the next person. But just so that if you want to be keeping track of that, we can do that.
Yes.
So without further ado, Hold on, because I just left somebody else in. I think we've got Chris Haft is our first person up. So I am going to ask you to unmute. Welcome, Chris. You should be able to unmute now. Could you try? There you go.
Can you guys hear me okay?
We can.
We can.
Perfect. How are you today, Rob?
You sound really good, actually.
Thank you. I spent a lot of money on this equipment, so I better.
Oh, that's good. I'm feeling good. Things are good.
All right, perfect. That's really good to hear. So I mean, obviously, I've been on a weird side of your space where I found the people who comment about what you guys do, and I didn't realize that there were so many people that had strong opinions about John.
Yeah, you know, in a way,
it's pretty wild.
Yeah, it's a little disconcerting to me because, you know, I've always I've been streaming with the first day I ever streamed live on YouTube. I streamed with John Campia back in April of 2015.
Yeah,
and you know, John knows a lot about the YouTube space and how it works, and he's been doing this for like 20 years. And you know, I think though sometimes when you're at the top, I mean, he really did set the tone. I've heard from a lot of people how he inspired them and got them into the YouTube space. And John's always been somebody who's said, if you should start a YouTube channel, you know, he's the first person to lead that fight. And I don't know, you know, I know that John always tries to innovate and change things up. And look, I really thought 2022 was a great year on his channel. We were having a blast. And I thought it was, you know, I thought it was great. I was really having a good time. But yeah, it's been really weird. I mean, yeah, you know, the backlash and I have not enjoyed it myself.
Well, of course not. I mean, because I don't know, like just from I only see like a tenth of what's going on, right? Because we're the audience. So like there's a whole bunch of background stuff that we don't know what's going on. And a lot of, I don't know, there's a couple people specifically that are like, I almost want to say like, well, they're obviously soothsaying to a degree, but they're making declarative statements. Like, I'm a pretty big conspiracy guy, so like it's very reminiscent of like the conspiracy community. They'll just take like the nugget of information, and then extract a whole narrative out of it. And it's like, okay, well, how much of this is just you like making this up, and how much of this is you just like actually like inferring? Because none of these people know, because none of these people are there. It's not like any of these people are messaging you for like comments and being like, hey, so this is kind of like what we got. What do you think about this?
No, but I do think that there is something that to be gained and learned from all this. Like I've noticed that from my perspective on this channel, on the Burnettwork, Robservations and all that, you do end up getting an audience of people that tune into you every day. They tune into you, whether they like you, they like your opinion, and you do develop a community. Mm-hmm. And for better or for worse, I mean, I've always liked, because when I was growing up, I was never able to share my love of all things imagination connoisseur because I just didn't have any friends that were interested. So to me, going to conventions, I've always seen YouTube as like an ongoing, endless Star Trek or science fiction or Comic-Con, where when you go on, you do shows. It's like doing a you know, when you're at a Comic-Con and you're doing a panel discussion. And it's an ongoing panel discussion. And for me, because I'm interested in so many different things, it's a lot of fun. And I mean, I like the audience. A lot of people don't. Yeah. You know, a lot of people don't. And you forget that when you're on YouTube, it's so funny when somebody came up to me once. I was with Elizabeth and we were just going to lunch. We ended up going to the Cheesecake Factory, and the maitre d', the concierge or whatever, comes up to me and goes, "Oh my God, you're Robert Burnett." And I'm like, yeah. And it was the first time. I watch you all the time. And I never, like when I worked at Collider, I would go in, I would do Collider Heroes, and I would leave. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't interacting with anybody. I never watched the show, you know, and it was hard because it was 2015 and it didn't occur to me that there was even an audience. You know, we'd go in and do the show, like, I don't know who's watching the show. And we were doing it live. And then when you start to get recognized, you're like, oh, it's like somebody had to say, I watch you on YouTube. And I was like, at first, I was like, am I on YouTube? Like, even though I knew intellectually that I was on YouTube, it wasn't And it wasn't really until I started my own channel, because even on John's channel, when I was doing his show, I wasn't like going on and interacting in the chats. But the whole fun of being on YouTube is to interact with the audience. At least I think so.
No, yeah, 100%. You get like almost instant a review of how your content is, which I kind of hate that word, but it's still.
But
art.
no, but to me, it's like I consider everybody who comes, like everybody here, like Stubble McShave. You've been coming here for years. I consider Stubble McShave a friend. Like if I went to Sweden, I would call him up and go, dude, I'm not going to ask to stay in your house, but let's go get dinner.
Right.
Like I would not hesitate to call up Stubble, and I wouldn't feel like, oh, that's weird. I've never actually met him in person, but we might as well have, you know. Or I mean, everybody that's here, I would just like, let's go out. I feel like, and a lot of people might say that might not be the smartest thing to do, but it's different than if you're like a movie star and you don't. But we all interact. Like we all, and some people I've been interacting with a lot more than people I've known my entire life, that I'll see once or twice a year, or maybe talk to once or twice a year. So it's an interesting, I think that this whole YouTube space, especially as a result of the pandemic, you know, how a lot of us were at home for 2 years doing nothing except watching YouTube and talking to people online or whatever.
Yeah.
It's changed that. Yeah. And you meet people from all over the world.
Yeah.
100%. which I love, you know, I think it's great.
It does. It gets into another thing I don't think we're gonna have time for, but I've been kind of obsessed always with the homogenization, like the slow creeping homogenization of everybody to like a weird extent.
Yeah, I hate that too. I mean, you know,
but it's a consequence of like a unified world, right? Like it's even whether it's like, you know, conspiracy people will say it's like planned versus like the reality is like people always want to emulate what they like, and a bunch of people are going to end up liking the same thing and emulating similar things. So it's like almost by the nature of us becoming unified, it leads to it one way or the other. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, look, for me, I love conspiracy theories, like mysteries, and to me, the problem with conspiracy theories is it always just comes back down to money. Like I kind of wish that like Satan, the great Satan, Lucifer Morningstar was real, and like you had a supernatural force that was trying to consume the souls of mankind, and they were behind pulling all the strings, because that'd be like, oh, I'm down with that. Yeah. But it all just comes down to people just want to have money. And when you ask people, okay, so you've got money and power, like what are you going to do with that? Like how many beautiful bespoke, if I had a ton of money, I'd just go use it to make movies and buy people shit to make their lives happier. But at the end of the day, okay, you're going to be really, really wealthy, but you're only one person. And, you know, it's not like, what do you want to do? Do you want to be somebody like Jeffrey Epstein, who manipulates people and indulges whatever whims he wanted to indulge? Is that how you're going to spend your time? I mean, that seems sort of wasteful. Like I'd love to, if I won the lottery, the first thing I would do is I would go to a film school, probably New York, because New York, and I would establish the Robert Burnett genre studies. Like, here's $100 million. I want to make sure that every movie, every exploitation film, every crazy that we establish a place where all of the cinematic, the crazy fringe movies and all the books and all the you'd have a study center where it's all collected so it doesn't disappear. That'd be the first thing I would do. I wouldn't go buy a house or something. I'd establish some great scholarly place where I could put all my B movies and Trash Panda movies that Dieter buys, just so they're preserved.
Sounds good, Rob. Thank you so much, Chris. It was great to have you here, join us and kick us off this morning. And I did see a message, somebody asking, usually we go for about 2 hours live on YouTube, and then we switch just to the member chat. And then today, Rob, you have a bit of a hard out around 2
Yeah,
PM,
I mean, two, we can go further than that because we started late, but I have so much I have to do.
A lot for Rob to do. So, okay. So without further ado, we've got Marcus coming up next. Marcus, you should be able to unmute.
Hi, Rob.
What's up, man?
It's all great, man. So, Rob,
that's good to hear.
I want to ask you, where do you stand on studio giving full freedom to the directors or the filmmakers to do whatever they want, and on the total opposite of that, which is the studio dictate what they want? Before you answer, is it true that Heaven's Gate, Michael Cimino Heaven's Gate, bankrupt United Artists because he do whatever he wants?
Yes, that is true. So here's the thing. When more so than ever, when you're working with a studio, you are in partnership with them. You know, you are working for the studio. This is what I believe anyway. You're working for the studio, and you're basically anointed. You're picked by the studio. I mean, they're obviously right now. There's probably on the planet Earth, there's 10 people that all the studios want to work with. There's 10 people that they know can direct a $200 million movie. Mm-hmm. That's it. There might be 20, but there's really 10. And because when you're spending, say, $150 or $200 million, you have to know the person that's helming the project. And look, you still need a director. Studio executives can't direct a movie. And when you're a movie director, you're literally making 10,000 decisions in a day. And they have to, a director needs to run the ship, you know, as the captain of the ship, and is making all these decisions. They have to know whether it's costume design, whether it's an actor's line reading, whether it's the way a set looks, it's where the camera's going to be. You have to have a visionary director. And I think some of the great, like Christopher Nolan is a great studio director, but he also understands that he's in a partnership with the studio. And that's why when, for instance, Tenet was like day and date, when Warner Brothers pissed him off during the pandemic, they betrayed his trust, because he had earned, you know, if any filmmaker had earned the trust of a studio, it was Christopher Nolan. You know, they hire him after Memento. They give him his first studio gig, which was remaking Insomnia. And it worked out really well. And he was working with 2 big stars in that movie. Then they said, hey, we have this moribund Batman thing. We'd love you to take a shot at Batman. Not a huge budget, but we got Batman Begins out of that. Then he goes and makes The Prestige. You know, then he does The Dark Knight. And then we saw how that turned out. And then he goes and makes Inception. So studios have to rely on directors, but the directors can't be given carte blanche. The thing about Michael Cimino was he had won the Best Picture award. I think he won Best Director also for The Deer Hunter. So he was full of piss and vinegar, and he was like, I'm going to do whatever I want. And what he did was, like, I get it. He was incredibly self-indulgent, though. And at the end of the day, a movie is by definition a commercial product that a studio is going to sell to an audience. And it's the perfect, I think, confluence of art and commerce. But you, as the artist, always have to be aware that you're not spending your own money. You're spending a studio's money, and you're supposed to get that money back plus a profit. So any studio movie is by definition a commercial enterprise. Now, it's a commercial enterprise that requires great art to succeed. And that's why very few people in the world are qualified to make movies at the studio level.
I mean, movie like The Northman, which I love, but there's no way in hell it could make the budget back. I mean, no, the trailer looks good, but the movie is too artistic for a mainstream audience.
I totally agree. And I think, you know, Robert Eggers is one of my favorite directors working today. That was only his 3rd feature. I adore The Witch. I love The Lighthouse. And, you know, The Northman, he goes and, I mean, look, here's the thing. If you can get $90 million to make The Northman, no one's going to say no. But on the other hand, you know, it puts somebody in a compromising position. If I were him, I wouldn't have done that, because you're trying to build a career. I would have tried to figure out a way. Of course, they filmed it. I think they filmed, I don't know if it was during COVID, but, you know, he wanted the realism. It was a rough shoot. Everyone said they were cold. And I mean, I thought it was definitely a worthwhile film, but at 90 million, there was no way that movie was ever going to turn a profit. And that's the thing. And I love Robert Eggers. And now he's got a movie that didn't make enough money on his resume. So is it going to be harder to get his next movie off the ground or not? Or Ari Aster, who makes Hereditary and Midsummer, and then he goes and he makes Beau is Afraid.
Yeah.
Now Beau is Afraid is a totally self-indulgent, director-driven work. And I understand you got the right actors, and I'm going to go do this thing. And where are you at now? Is he going to be able to get his next movie off the ground? I mean, I don't know. And I want to see I'm all for art, but got to keep those budgets down, you know. And he's working with Joaquin Phoenix, who's he won Best Actor for the Joker. So it's like, it looks good on paper, but you have to ask yourself, ultimately, is this movie, who's going to watch it? Who's going to buy it?
How about movies that are successful but it was bad, like the prequels? It was made because George Lucas. No one said no to George Lucas at the time, right?
Well, he also finances his own movies, so
like the prequels.
Yeah. I mean, he owns Star Wars lock, stock, and barrel. So there's nobody who could say anything to him, and that's different. I mean, those movies made money. George Lucas, he kept his own budget down. The prequels made money, and the thing was, I mean, whether or not, like, I think the prequels have a lot of really great technology, and the story, I like the story. I just think the human execution is really not good, because George Lucas, I think, was too far removed from humanity, and as he got older, because I mean, the guy couldn't walk out of the house without half the world stopping him. Can you imagine being George Lucas and like, I just want a cup of coffee at Starbucks? Can you imagine George Lucas walking into a Starbucks? Yeah. What would happen to the poor guy?
So in summary, you don't fully believe in full control, giving full control to the directors. You mean that there's got to be someone to step in and say no sometimes?
Well, I think I do. I think that but here's the thing. A great director understands that they're in a partnership with the studio. And when they start making a movie, that understanding is in place, and the studio knows it, and the director knows it, and I think that the great directors that work well with studios are not the kind of people that halfway through a shoot are going to stomp their feet and demand what they want. I think great directors have to establish and again, one of the problems is people know less and less about the people at the studio level know less and less about how movies are made. And I think that's not great. And I think that's can be problematic, but you know, it's a tough call.
Thank you so much, Marcus. It's great to see you. Thanks for the insightful questions. And I think all the way from Spain, if I'm not mistaken, it's Pedro Ferreira. Pedro, you should be able to unmute.
No, now. He's in England.
Oh,
or
he's
are you
in
Spain?
England. No, he's in England. Are you in Spain or in England?
No, my parents are Portuguese.
Your parents are Portuguese. You're in England.
Yeah.
By the way, he had a birthday this week. Happy birthday. Yesterday was your birthday.
Happy birthday.
The birthday boy.
I'm getting old now. I'm 40.
Oh, God forbid. I remember 40. It's a good year. It's all good, man.
Yeah, I feel kind of depressed because I always talk. I've talked about over letters. I've talked in the past about how I haven't reached where I wanted to be at my age. So yeah, it's kind of annoying. But anyway.
Have any of us?
Well, you've done pretty well for yourself.
But I'm not. I have no money. I have no security. I have nothing.
You obviously have money because you buy all the hot toys.
All of that, yeah, but a lot of that's because you sell things, you trade things. You know, it's one thing goes, another thing comes.
Well, I was thinking of selling this because do you remember this? The Star Trek box set, Blu-ray box set.
I don't think I saw that because that's not English. It's not from America, is it?
No, I think it's an Amazon exclusive or something like that.
That's cool.
How many copies is that? It's got so many. 5,000
Is that Blu-ray or is that DVD?
Yeah, or? Blu-ray. Yeah, it was 2013.
Yeah, those are the ones I worked on.
Yeah, so it was the movies, but it's all the movies.
Oh, that wasn't what I worked on. Yeah, I mean,
it's got.
By the way, those versions of the movies have been completely supplanted by the new 4Ks that just came out.
Yeah, it's got like you got like a little book here, like that.
Yeah, that's cool. But yeah, the new, that's a cool box set. But the new movies the new transfers are way better.
With those 2 discs that are not on the new box set.
Yeah, so
they've been left off, but then you get like this from Designs, Star Trek Interaction, something like that, and Star Trek I think this might be motion picture. I think it looks like motion picture to me.
Yeah, I mean, if it's the movie, sure.
Film cell, which has it's kind of all of the movies, but it's got film cell for each movie.
That's cool.
Little like film cells for each movie, and then the making of for every single like film, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't keep this if I want the 4K version. I can't keep this, so I'm gonna have.
Sure, you can.
Well, the 4K one I'll have to buy separately because there's 2 box sets, so I'll have to buy those 2. I have to buy that. It's not like one box set. So yeah, I'm gonna have to do that. But yeah, anyway, I just thought I'd show you that since I'm kind of.
It's cool. I never had that.
So anyway, is there anything since my birthday, anything you ever wanted to ask me or anything like that, or
ever wanted to ask you? Quantum Leap.
Okay.
Quantum Leap. So, what do you think of the new Quantum Leap?
I haven't actually watched it. I rewatched the original series, and I only have 1 episode left, and I am going to get into the. Oh, sorry, I forgot. This also comes with a little patch.
Oh, that's cool.
Anyway, so yeah, you get all those freebies. Yeah, I think that there are some problems with the new Quantum Leap, and there are certain things that I wish they would change. But I think it could, like, there's still time to make changes for the season 2. But what do you think of it?
I mean, it was okay.
Full season as well. Full season.
Yeah, I haven't watched the whole thing. I think I watched the first 4 episodes, and I mean, I liked it. I thought it was fine. I just honestly, I get tired of watching all the reboots and all of. I just want to see something new.
Well, you know, with Quantum Leap was one of those rare shows where they had to provide some kind of resolution because the show didn't get a resolution.
Right.
So any show that really deserves a reboot is Quantum Leap because it never really explained. There are certain plot lines that went unresolved by the show's end. So there are things that they could have maybe like changed or sort of explained throughout the show. I think from what I've seen so far, I think that the visual effects could be better. I think like I wrote a letter about this actually, that what dates the original is why we like it so much today, and taking that out kind of defeats the purpose of you know, what people like about the show. You know, you want to bring it back for a modern audience, but you take out some of the stuff that made it really visually very good. So you know, the hand link, they have like an Alexa sort of hand link now.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of this. Yeah. Well, the actual concept art for the hand link for the new series was actually closer to the original, which actually looks better. So
right.
it was like a hand link, but it was like a tablet, but it had multicolored buttons on it.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, that's what they should have gone with, the concept art rather than this whole Alexa thing. So it's really not. It's very cold and artificial, the way they've gone about the production design.
Yeah.
But like I say, there's still time. It's not like they can't reverse course and change things. The original Quantum Leap, it took them 2.5 seasons to get in place all visually the look of the show and everything. So. Yeah. I mean, it could get better. I mean, as far as like time travel shows, I recently rewatched all of 12 Monkeys, the 4 seasons of 12 Monkeys, and that show just rips. It's so good. They did such a great job with the concept of time travel, and
Because when it was originally on, I watched it, but I wasn't paying that much attention. I thought it was good, but watching it again, it was like, wow, this is beautifully constructed. I just don't. I mean, the idea of Quantum Leap, I don't know. I just would love to see something new and different. All these remakes of shows get a little bit depressing, because there's so many new things that they could be doing, and that's what I really want. Is I would love to see something new.
Thank you, Pedro. By the way, I never understood the Quantum Leap, how it worked. Him jumping into and then it was like, I just put it in the chat. I said it was like the anti-Prime Directive show. Like, it was all about going through time and changing things that didn't happen. I'm like, did they ever deal with the consequences of all of these changes? Like, oh, this person died. You're supposed to go and keep this person from dying. It's like the complete opposite of Star Trek when it comes to preserving, the conditions of the timeline. Oh, Pedro is saying in the Zoom chat that they did address that actually. Okay, so
yeah.
That'll be interesting. All right. Well, we've got, speaking of longtime friends, Stubble McShave is here. Welcome, Stubble. You should be able to unmute now.
There? Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Yes,
Great.
We can.
So, how are you doing? A lot of work?
Things are good. Things are good. Yeah. All good.
Anyway, I mentioned that I got this one.
Yes, you
maybe
did.
It's
that
back to front.
That is. I don't know. Now, what is that? That's not a full. Here, hold that up. I want to see that. Hold that up again.
A Shogun.
Is that an original or is that a reprint?
It's probably a reprint.
Wow, that's really cool. I love that book. I love that miniseries.
Yeah, and you should totally check out Project Hail Mary. It's right up your alley. I think you would absolutely love it.
I would love it. I mean, I'll definitely check that out. They've been making the new Shogun miniseries for like years. It's sort of, I'm sure it'll show up soon, but it's like disappeared.
I heard that it should have a release date this year. So
I hope so.
Yeah, we'll see if it's any good. We'll see.
Yeah, they've got a tough act to follow. I mean, I hope it's not like the new Stand miniseries, which I hated. Oh, I hated that.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Anyway, I wanted to talk a little about serialized storytelling with the MCU and the Star Wars and all that.
Oh yeah, please do.
Because I've said for a while that I thought that they should have rebooted the MCU after Endgame, because it was such a finish line, the whole story led up to that, and they had their ending.
I agree. I mean, it was satisfying.
Yeah.
It was really satisfying.
Yeah, because they have chosen to have serialized storytelling instead of having single movies. So they should have a plan before they start anything on the phase 4 and forward. So they should have that. Every movie should have a purpose for the bigger picture.
Yeah, I think they
throw in a lot of stuff.
I think they just made a mistake. I honestly think that leaning into the multiverse was a huge mistake. And I think that it would have been really, if you go back and you watch, like, there's a lot of people celebrating the 15th anniversary of Iron Man, which is this month. And if you go back and you watch Iron Man, I say this all the time, but it's the story of one guy, a flamboyant person who we all kind of want to be: rich, brilliant. He has everything he wants. He's having a good time. He takes martinis everywhere. He's the ultimate. And then he has a crisis of conscience and realizes that what he's doing with his life isn't such a good thing. And, he decides that's when he gets the idea of putting a suit of armor around the world and tries to change himself. And then he ends up fighting not some apocalyptic alien invasion, but his mentor when he was growing up. The guy that wants to keep making arms and making money, and a corporate dude and it's a really personal movie. in addition to being a movie about the emergence of a superhero. And I think the secret to Marvel phase 1, 2, and 3 is that all of those movies were about even Civil War was about a conflict, an ideological conflict between two dudes. You know, the Sokovia Accords, one person, Steve Rogers, is like, this is un-American. And Tony Stark's like, no, it's not. We need oversight. And so at its core, there was a simple question that everyone understands. And I think that the MCU has sort of like lost its way. With Multiverse of Madness, I couldn't tell you what that movie's about, other than the fact that Doctor Strange has to stop Wanda Maximoff, who's around the bend because of her kids, or whatever. Or like Quantumania, how is that movie even about Scott Lang?
Yeah.
You know,
and if you look at like a movie like Eternals, I like Eternals.
I do too.
It's a fine movie. It's a fine, but what purpose does it play in the larger picture?
I have no idea.
And the consequences, there are no consequences.
No, and they have Arishem the Judge come to Earth, and you've got what's his face cracking out of the Indian Ocean. I mean, they don't even the human race, after coming back from Thanos' snap and then seeing things like Arishem the Judge in the sky above Earth, mankind, our civilization would be fractured.
Yeah.
Like it would be what would the religious leaders, there'd be apocalyptic cults, there would be mass suicides, we would be insane. And no one seems to care. Yeah. In the MCU, it's like, we get snapped away for 5 years. Oh, there's cosmic entities 3 times the size of the Earth. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Cares?
They chose to do a serialized storytelling, so they should have the consequences factored into the.
I agree. How they should have done a whole movie about the everyman. Like, what's the state of the Earth?
Yeah.
You know, like how do you deal with what kind of, you know, how does S.H.I.E.L.D. deal with the fact that, or whatever, where's the world at now? The world will be completely traumatized. You have half the population that's lost 5 years of their lives. They just wake up. They don't even know what happened. How would half the world's population deal with the fact that they lost 5 years of their lives because a cosmic entity snapped his fingers? If that could happen, you'd have half the world looking at each other going, what does it all matter? I'm just ending my life now. There's no reason to live if I have no control over being snapped away. I mean, what would that do to people? And they've never dealt with those consequences. I don't know how you do that in a superhero movie, but it just seems nowadays, it seems like nobody should. And when you look at a movie like Thor: Love and Thunder, really could have been a great, interesting story. It was just a goof. Yeah. I hated that. I didn't ever think I'd hate a Marvel movie. I didn't hate Dark World.
And what purpose does they play in the larger picture? Nothing, really.
Nothing. And even the story that was being told could have been this great epic story. You know, a man who renounces God and decides or his God, and I'm going to go kill it. Could have been an epic story, but it's such a goof, and it doesn't even deal with, you know, and then you've got a woman dying of cancer. There's all kinds of stuff where you could have tied those stories together in a really fascinating way. It was terrible. What a waste.
I'm running out of time here, but I just wanted to mention that it was sad to see that Tina Turner left us as well.
I know.
You know, they are falling one every second month. Another legend falls.
I know.
It feels like
all the people that we grew up with. I mean, it's so strange to think about. You know, growing up as a kid, I listened to a lot of Tina Turner in our house, and then in the early 80s. Like when she was doing I'm Your Private Dancer, she had a resurgence and was huge again. And then, of course, the two Georges cast her as Anti-Entity in Beyond Thunderdome. And she was great in that movie. And she sang 2 songs. You're just a raggedy man, ain't we a pair? I love that movie. And that movie's gotten better with age.
Thank you, Stubble. One of the Living. I prefer that song to the other one.
Me too. And it's so great. It's so great that's the song that opens the movie.
Right. With the credits rolling. Yeah. It's a great tune.
It's a great. I posted that when I heard she died.
Yeah. Love that song.
It's such a great song. I mean, you know, Beyond Thunderdome, that's a fine, or We Don't Need Another Hero. That's a fine song, but One of the Living is a banger.
Oh yeah, it's awesome, and it has a, to me, it feels more resonant with some aspects of the movie. Although I don't know, you know, Another Hero 2 kind of has it too, but I don't know. I just feel like it's perfect that they use it as that opening title.
Yeah, One of the Living's a little harder edged, and I've always loved it better.
Yeah,
and there's two different versions of it. There's like the movie version and the album version, but I like the movie version better because it's got that the beginning, which is really neat.
It's pretty awesome. All right, the Gist with Jared is up next. You should be able to unmute now, Jared.
Hey, what's up, Rob?
What's going on, man? What is the gist?
Much. What's that?
What is the gist? What's the gist of it all?
It's just the name of my channel, but I actually kind of wanted to dovetail off of what Stubble was bringing up. So if you were to, you know, time travel back to 2019 and you had the era of Kevin Feige and you just acquired the Fox Universe stuff, X-Men, Fantastic Four in March, you are planned to release Endgame in the next few months, where would you take Phase 4 if you weren't allowed to reboot and reset everything in light of everything we've seen?
I would have done the X-Men. I mean, because the X-Men would have immediately pivoted. Because the thing about you've lost Black Widow, you know, you've lost Iron Man, you've Steve Rogers is now an old man, and what you'd have to do is I would have left all of that behind and started anew, you know, and I mean, I still don't understand how they're going to incorporate mutants into the Marvel universe. And I get it that they probably, whether there was contracts and people said, well, they can't do anything with the mutants until 2025. I don't know if any of that's true. I have no idea. But I do understand that it's probably a hard thing. It was but I would have done something like, if you wanted to start with mutants, I would have started with something unexpected like Alpha Flight. Make an Alpha Flight movie, you know, with Vindicator and Sasquatch and Marina and Puck, and like do something different, because you know you go right from the end of Endgame into like the Black Widow movie, and I'm like, why? I mean, it was such a Black Widow was fine, you know, it was like a B-level spy thriller, but to me it was like, who cares? As much as I enjoy like Rachel Weisz and David Harbour and all that, I did enjoy watching the film. But again, it's entirely inconsequential to what, other than the fact that Yelena is set up to go take revenge for the death of Natasha. But it's like, I just don't care, you know, and I think that they didn't. Now with this whole multiverse thing, they're leaning. You had Multiverse of Madness, but that was totally inconsequential to the rest of the MCU. And all
I mean, it's kind of how all of them have been in Phase 4, inconsequential. Even the new Guardians, as much as I liked it, and I've liked a lot of Phase 4, but they just don't relate to one another as the previous phases. I mean, I still hold out hope that Wanda comes back and destroys the whole multiverse and then resets everything. But do you think they'll ever adapt like the Hickman version of X-Men? I really loved Hickman's version of. I would give.
The thing about, here's the thing, like I was reading, X-Men to me was like Star Trek, the comics. The problem was it was all the same. It got to be the variations on how many times were they going to replay the same ideas. And as much as I enjoyed things like, you know, when they set up Utopia and all the way up to X-Men versus Avengers and all that, it just got, I read X-Men religiously for 400 issues. And it just got to the point where I'm like, that when House of X and Power of 10 or Power of X came out, that was so out there. I mean, it was so different. And I really enjoyed it. Yeah, it was so crazy. I was like, oh my. So right now, like I have the hardcover. I just delved into, I didn't realize how many parts of the Hickman X-Men era there was. And I'm buying all the hardcovers and all that. It's so wild, and it's so sci-fi, and it's so, the whole thing with Krakoa and everything that they're doing. I can't believe Marvel let him do that, because it was just awesome to see the characters like Magneto and Professor X take a slightly different turn to
ally with one another and be a little more questionable and gray and resurrect all the mutants. It was cool.
And the whole Moira and all the stuff that he did, the stuff that Moira was dying and coming back. I mean, it's awesome. Like what I can't see, there's no way I think that they could lean into that stuff for the movies because it's too out there. I think Disney's like, you can't do this.
Yeah, it'd be a little too much.
I think but I would love it if they did. And you know what's really interesting is I think one of the problems now that the MCU is going to have is how do you introduce the X-Men into the MCU? Like, I don't know how they're going to do that. I mean, other than saying that the X-Men have always been there.
Yeah, have like an incursion or some kind of other time loophole or something. It's too convoluted right now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how they do it, but it because I mean, I love the X-Men, and there's such a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe because like Vision and Scarlet Witch, a lot of people don't necessarily think of them. To me, Vision and Scarlet Witch are Avengers characters. I grew up reading them. They've always been Avengers characters, even though Scarlet Witch is a mutant. So, and when they brought like with the House of M storyline, and she said no more mutants, and they did so much, and then Avengers Disassembled, which I thought that they were going to lean into a little bit more when Wanda went crazy. But I love that Avengers Disassembled. I mean, people died. She destroyed she really did a number on the Avengers. It was great.
Oh, it would have been great if they really leaned into Wanda being the heel. Gosh, I love that aspect about Multiverse of Madness, that she was pretty overpowered and destroyed everyone so easily.
Oh, it was great. But then they didn't do it. It was like, that's like a bottle movie. After everything that happened, at the end of it, how is that consequential at all? To the rest. I mean, it should have been huge.
Yeah. Now it's kind of like grasping at strings to try to figure out where everything is going. And I wasn't expecting Guardians to explain anything, but it would have been nice to have maybe another post-credit scene of some kind to tie to at least one other movie. But
no, well, what I did like the thing about Guardians 3 is that the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy kind of exists on its own.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty self-contained.
It's a self-contained thing about these characters. And sure, there's the wider Marvel universe, but I like the fact that the 3 movies that James Gunn made, which he wrote and directed, are of a piece. It's like a symphony. And I thought it all worked really, really well. And those 3 movies together and I'm a fan of the second movie more than most people. I loved how the second movie was all more about dysfunctional families, whether it was Gamora and Nebula, or whether it was Ego and Star-Lord. I loved all of that, and I thought it was, and as a trilogy, I think those 3 movies work really, really well together. Really enjoy it. But thanks. I mean, I'm glad you like, because there's nobody I can talk to about Hickman's X-Men run. But man, do I love it. And now I have to get, it's like I've started to look at how many. I figured, have they put hardcovers out of these? And they're like, yeah, there's like 20 of them. It's like $800 if you want to get them all. I only have 2. So, I mean, there's a Hellfire Gala hardcover. I have to have that. I don't know why, but I love that. I want to read all that. So,
thank you so much, Jared. Rob, I sense a limited series in the future to discuss the Hickman run with Jared. Maybe there's a project here for the future.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a, it was so bizarre. Like, I mean, reading that House of X, Powers of X, or Powers of 10, it was like a revelation, because I was so bored of I grew up, I love the X-Men, but having read them literally for 30 years, it's like, somebody tell me something new, and Hickman just knocked it out of the park, just like he knocked out of the park his Fantastic Four run. Right. Oh, that was good too.
All right, well, thank you so much, Jared. We've got Anthony coming up next. Welcome, Anthony.
Hello, sir.
Hey, good afternoon. How you doing, Rob?
Doing well. Nice shirt, by the way.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. You hit it out the park last night with Midnight Musings. Another great show.
That was hilarious. I could not believe talking with RM. That show seemed like it was 10 minutes.
It went by very,
I was like, it's almost 3.5 hours. It was great. I had so much fun on that show. That was a great show.
Yeah, you guys brought up so many great points when you talked about like lack of sexuality in movies. I thought of so many topics to talk about with you on that, but like one of the ones that stood out was the one about diversity. And like earlier, just a couple of Zoom callers ago, was talking about sequels. We're getting tired of seeing the same films, the lack of new IPs. And like one of the things that I was thinking about while I was on hold was, how diversity ties into it is when Will Smith came out with the movie Hancock, like about 10 or 15 years ago.
I like that movie.
Yeah, it was something new. It was something fresh. But then I kind of wanted to ask you, like, where do you think, like, how can I say this? The lack of new African-American Black directors can tie into this? Because, I know you said how much you love, like, She's Gotta Have It. Like, I love all the Spike Lee films. She's Gotta Have It, Mo Better Blues, School Days. But like there were so many like new and fresh like Black African-American directors in the late 80s, early 90s. Like
Robert Townsend. I just bought Hollywood Shuffle off the Criterion. They had a sale.
Yeah, like Robert Townsend.
And then like John Singleton. And I mean, there's still people like F. Gary Gray, who made like The Negotiator. But here's the thing. Here's the problem. It's not making movies is enormously difficult. Yeah. And I think like if you think about what is the Black population of America, was it 13.5%, 14% of America? So if you think about that, of that percentage, how many people want to go into the arts as a profession? And of that, how many people want to go to Hollywood? And like when I wanted to go into Hollywood from Seattle, there was nobody that was encouraging me like, oh, you should go do that. In Seattle, what do people know about Hollywood? And I think that's the problem is that nowadays there's more technology. People could start making movies. Like if I was making Super 8, I was making Super 8 movies when I was 10 years old. If I had the technology that now, back in 1980, who knows where I would have been? And now there's more technology. I just think that our culture, are people inspired to want to do making movies is incredibly difficult, and it's already crazy enough to want to make movies. And when you have a certain percentage point, because for me, I would much rather have more diversity in people making films and telling stories. And the point that I always make about Spike Lee is I love the fact that Spike Lee's first breakthrough movie is about a Black woman in Brooklyn, who's dating multiple dudes. There's so many things about that movie when I saw it for the first time, I'm like, this is really interesting. Here's a story of a place and a person I'd never heard before, brought with a certain vim and vigor and verve. He was clearly a filmmaker. And like he makes School Days and then he makes Do the Right Thing, which is a stunning achievement. I mean, Do the Right Thing, when you go watch it, everything about that movie is a knockout. And it's still with the 4K versions, and you see a new voice. And that's what I want. And I think, but the real question is, how many people, it doesn't matter whether you're Black or whether you're a woman or whether you're Latino or whatever, how many people even want to make movies now?
Yeah.
I think that's the problem. How many people want to take, because it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
And it is, and everybody wants to get rich. There's you could start a YouTube channel and reach more people and make more money than you could as an independent filmmaker now. So what is the incentive? And I think that's the problem. But like you said, I would have thought a lot more. I mean, I have a crush on Ava DuVernay, and I'd like to see her make more movies. I love 13, her documentary that she made. But again, where are all those filmmakers? Where are they? And the problem is it's just hard.
You brought up a fascinating point when you said that, and even like in my own previous experience, like I remember I had a camcorder in college running through dormitories. Like remember those big ass camcorders?
Yeah.
And it was just like, you brought up a great point last night when you said that it needs to be taught to, people, minorities in inner cities from a young age in schools. There needs to be some kind of programs that these movie studios can introduce to younger kids to where it's from the ground up.
100%. I mean, I talked to my friend Frank, you know, he went to Namibia, and he went with a group that took video cameras and showed kids in a Namibian village how to use them. And they were going out and making movies documenting life in their town or in their village. And what Frank was telling me, it was amazing when you taught these kids what documenting their lives, what they should look for, what they were getting back, what these kids were filming, what they were seeing through their own eyes. That's what we need to do. And I think with AI more than ever, we need to start. And that's why we should be sending the best teachers and more money. I mean, education should be a national, first of all, national security begins with an educated population, a healthy and educated population. Why we are not doing that is beyond me. And kids, like you said, like I said, like you pointed out, from a very early age, put cameras. Why don't we have arts programs? Why aren't we putting cameras and showing kids how to use them and teaching them editorial techniques? Because nowadays we've got software programs. It's cheaper than ever to make movies. And if kids are going to have cell phones, show them how to use their cameras. And I mean, start them out, make a video of a day in the life of your dog or your cat, you know, make it simple, but something that once, because nobody can come up with a more amazing stuff than kids. When you ask kids to start really thinking about their own existence, what you get back is tenfold. And who knows and that's why I don't get it. I mean, I don't understand, you know, we're trying to keep up with equity now. Like we want to make the world equal or make it equitable. Equality and equity is different, but it's too late. We got to start people from the time they're 5 years old, you know, and start empowering and everybody, you know, and that's how you're going to defeat prejudice and racism, because when you put cameras in the hands of everybody, suddenly the individual differences we have as people, when you're all making movies, it's the art that you're creating that suddenly becomes important. Everyone's looking at the art because you're all in it together. We're all making something. And what's it going to be? And it's your voice and your unique way of seeing the world that comes into play. And I just like to see more of that, because I also think that, you know, if you fill a room with 10 different people from different ethnic backgrounds, different religious backgrounds, different sexualities or whatever, and you guys are not looking at one another, you give people a task where you go out and you're going to make something and you can judge what you make. Because I saw that happen in film school. You know, suddenly everyone's they're looking at the work, and then you realize, oh, we can all do that work. We all can contribute, you know, and no one has to feel that something personally is holding them back. And I don't know why we don't make that a priority in this country, because God knows, if you empower people, who knows what they're going to do? They'll change the world. They just don't know that they can. And I think that, how much money is that worth? What if you had an entire population of people that were not so interested in backbiting and screaming and yelling at one another, but making something, building something? Who knows where we would be? It could be exciting, and we've got the technology to do it.
Thank you so much, Anthony. I think we've got Darth Plato coming up next.
Darth Plato will have something to say about it. He's
Yes.
the official historical philosopher of our channel.
Welcome, Darth.
What's up, dude?
Hello. How are you? What were you? I just sat down. So what were you talking about?
Empowering people from a young age to put the tools into their hands to do whatever they want, to dream, to make things, to encourage people to, I don't know.
Encourage creativity. Yes.
That's it. Encourage creativity in every direction.
And AI is not going to do that. You just type something in and then it just it doesn't create anything. It just randomizes existing art.
Yeah, and is a kid ever going to pick up an instrument and learn to play? I mean that's I mean that's the real thing. When you have AI who can, let's say you're like, I keep saying, I don't know why I keep focusing on Dizzy Gillespie, but I'm like, what if write me Beethoven's 10th Symphony and add Dizzy Gillespie as your first chair player, you know, or something. And it'll kick out a symphony. It'll take what Beethoven's done. It'll take what Dizzy Gillespie's done. It'll meld it together and it'll give you back something. And that's terrifying. And then people thought, ooh, look what I did. I created a mashup of Beethoven and classical and jazz or whatever.
Yeah, you didn't do a thing.
I know. But people are going to think they did.
Then they're going to learn.
That's why I think authenticity, I mean, already deep fakes, you know, the people are going to know that when they tune in to watch YouTube personalities or whatever, they're going to know that, you know, that they're seeing authenticity, that they're seeing real people.
I think some YouTube personalities are fake and they're not AI generated.
Yeah, well, it's going to come down. I'm going to have like a daily password so people know it's me or whatever.
Right.
You know?
So there was a live watch party the other day for Pearl Harbor.
Yes, I heard that. I missed that. I would love to have. I didn't realize that.
What did you think of the movie?
Okay, I look, Michael Bay's style. It interfered with my enjoyment of the film. But Kate Beckinsale. I'll watch anything she's in. I like Ben Affleck.
Sure.
I like the Doolittle Raid. You know, all that stuff. But I couldn't buy into that movie. I wanted to buy into that movie. I love I'll watch anything to do with World War II, but it's just it was seen through the lens of Michael Bay. And it was done, you know, we still had music videos on MTV when it was made. It was rough. It was rough. I mean, I understood what it's like, okay, we made Titanic and this is going to be Titanic, but it's going to be Pearl Harbor, you know, World War II. And
yes,
it wasn't that.
Yeah.
You know, and it got, I mean, sure, there's that great shot of the bomb falling the bomb down. I mean, okay, that's cool. But I'm like, that's not really what it should necessarily be about. There's some great effects, and yes, you've got the mayhem of the battle, but I couldn't help but think that the whole thing was just this crassly commercial money grab that they thought was going to. It's like, what else can we do that's like Titanic?
We're just putting a lot of actors, known actors.
It's gonna be a romance set during this time of tragedy.
Yep.
But the whole thing felt crassly commercial to me.
That's why I call it a roast.
Yeah.
So let me hear
Tora.
Yeah, which was the code signal for we have caught the Americans by surprise. So let me tell you a story. So I saw this movie in the theater. So
Pearl Harbor.
Yeah. So about 10 minutes into the movie, the film ripped. You ever seen that in the movie?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So and burned.
Yeah. Yeah, it did. The whole you could see it kind of like go like this, and then there was just a white screen. So we all went out into the showroom, and one of the ushers said, "Okay, you have a choice. You can get a full refund, or you can just go into the next theater and watch, continue watching it in that showroom." All right, so we just went into the next showroom. So we had to rewatch the entire first hour of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god. Because I wanted to see the battle.
Yeah, I mean that was the whole thing. You got to see the battle rendered in with all this new technology.
Yeah, I wanted to see the battle, and I had to rewatch the entire first hour. I was just sitting there like, "Oh my god, please end."
I mean, yeah. I mean, I didn't hate it, and if it's on TV, I'll watch it. You know, it's like, okay. I don't own it though. I never bought it. Never bought Pearl Harbor. I own Tora. You know, I own like everything from Where Eagles Dare to Saving Private Ryan to, I mean, give me a good World War II movie. But I never bought Hey, From Here to Eternity. I never bought Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, and World War II is not really my thing, but there are definitely some good movies out there about this.
Well, it's funny. I think as a world event, World War II has to have inspired more movies than most, because there are so many different ways to tell stories in World War II. We're still making World War II movies
in America. Yes, in America. And England, you might get an argument in England, because I think a more profound event for them might have been the English Civil War.
Yeah, but of course. But I mean, I think that there's been, what I really love is Dutch movies about World War II.
Oh, yeah,
Like when I was watching Dutch movies growing up, like they always brought Dutch movies. You could have a Dutch sex comedy about shopping in the mid 80s, and somehow they would work in the fact that this entire thing happened because the Germans fucked us in World War II.
Yes, I remember you talking about the other night on Dogbiter's channel. That was a great stream, by the way.
It was fantastic. It was so much fun. It was but that's what I always, and I love movies about the French Resistance, and
Maquis, yeah.
All that stuff. Yeah, I mean, it was. Yeah, no, I love historical films. I mean, it was interesting that they let Christopher Nolan make Dunkirk, and even the studio was like, they're like, no, it's not going to make it. It made money. Dunkirk made money, and that was a situation that how many Americans even knew what Dunkirk was? And well, yeah, because you're our historian. But I thought that movie did a really great job of explaining the situation, and really, really, the way it was done was really interesting.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah,
I liked it. That's why I can't wait to see Oppenheimer.
Have you seen the Netflix for Mincemeat and Bombardment?
I have not seen them. Everyone, Operation Mincemeat. People keep telling me to watch. I can't. I got to watch that.
Yeah.
Everyone says it's great. Is it great?
It's a great intel movie.
Yeah.
World War II intelligence. The British. I'm not to give too much away, but the British actually recruited a dead body.
Yeah.
A dead person.
Yeah.
Into the service.
I love it.
You have to watch the movie to make any sense of it, though.
I would absolutely want to watch it.
But
I mean,
Bombardment, that's a hard movie to watch. If you have to have a strong stomach to watch that movie.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. So.
Yeah, it's based during the time of the Danish resistance.
Mm. Well, I would watch it. I would definitely watch that Bombardment. Although World War. There's so many things I have to catch up with. So, yeah.
Thank you, Darth. By the way, some comments here in the super chat action here. So and remember, I put a notice out that you can also send super chats and tips. So don't forget, we'll be happy to read those here. Bill Barkley had a question, though. He asked me to ask you, Rob, asking any chance of asking Rob if he has watched Voltus 5 or Voltus V Legacy.
Okay,
yet.
I am. So this is a daily show. I'm dying to see it. Mikey Sutton has been singing its praises. I'm dying. I don't have what I need to have to watch it. I can't wait to watch. It looks great. And Mikey says it's great.
Is it Voltus V or 5?
I think it's Voltus 5 because it's all about how they combine into the big robot.
Okay, great.
I've always said Voltus 5 because I have a Voltus 5 diecast robot.
Got it. And then we have a super chat from Science Narrator, 10 pounds. Thank you so much. My favorite movie for music is Trainspotting. I was clubbing, going out all night, having fun, and you would hear the songs being played. Great times. What is your favorite movie for music?
Oh my God. Well, Trainspotting is definitely up there. The score for it is great. And how can you Lust for Life? That score is, I mean, that's not the score. The source cues, the music in that movie is great. God, that's a tough question. I mean, I obviously I love Purple Rain. I mean, but that's I think in terms of that's so hard because growing up in the 80s, there's so many. Like I love the music that John Hughes put in Some Kind of Wonderful.
Yeah.
Starting out with Propaganda from ZTT Records and stuff like that. But I mean, there's
the one soundtrack that I remember like at the time.
Probably The Crow.
Well, I'm thinking. I was thinking earlier 80s. For me, would have been Last American Virgin. Has a great soundtrack. Not a interesting movie, but it just had a really great soundtrack of kind of representative of that era.
Yeah, no, that was early 80s.
Yeah, early 80s.
But I mean, there's so many. I think about movies like Valley Girl. The thing about Trainspotting is all the movies, all the songs have an edge to them. That in terms of great British bands of the time, really, really, really great. But then I think about there's other movies like Movies like The Saint, you know, the Saint with Val Kilmer, that has a great soundtrack.
Yeah.
I
don't remember that one,
but Train Spotting, I mean, Danny Boyle, that Train Spotting stands alone. By the way, Train Spotting 2, T2, Train Spotting 2 is a great sequel.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of my favorite. I mean, it's not Godfather 2, but it's a great sequel.
Yeah.
I love that movie. I was so surprised how good it was, and nobody ever talks about it. It didn't do any business here, but
it did not. But it was critically, it was well received. It just did not do well. Yeah.
No.
Lucas Slater became a member, so we just want to highlight that. Welcome, Lucas. Thank you for joining us. And coming up next on the list here is King Tanik himself, Israel. You should be able to unmute now. Welcome, friend.
What's up, dude?
Can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right. How you doing, Rob?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, superstar?
I'm doing good. Thank you for the shout out on the Christian Harloff show.
Yeah,
of course. I was talking about how proud I was of you and your show.
It was a pleasant surprise. I was at work and I listened to Christian Harloff usually, along with other movie shows and things like that. And then you were on, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool. Rob's on." And then he was like, "Oh, and also Israel," and I was like, so it was really cool.
Cool. I'm glad. You know, I mean, hey, you certainly do. We've got some great work. I mean, what Arun's doing on the channel, what you're doing on the channel, what Lana Ewan's doing on the channel, what our own Roberto Suarez is doing with Que Pasa PGS. You know, there's lots of cool stuff happening. So, you know, I just want to, we got to get all the views up. You know, I feel like we've got to get, I mean, your show's been around now for a while. We got to get, that's why I seriously want to go to Anime Expo, which is, and I think it's in July.
Gosh, what am I thinking of? They canceled one of those big conventions this year. I think I'd have to double check. I'd look into it, but
yeah, I mean, I really want to go and promote the show, because you know you should be on a panel there promoting your show. But we got to figure out a way to do that. I want to get more views for these, because you know everyone's doing such great work. So it's like you want to get people to watch.
It's great to see how your vision for the Burnettwork is growing.
But it just doesn't. The algorithm needs to. I need to figure out a way to get, because I think having a channel of diverse people in terms of, we've got an anime show, we've got a Spanish show, we've got a review show, we've got video games, we got all kinds of things.
Yeah,
and we need more.
Yes, we do. All right, so y'all were talking a little bit about the MCU after Endgame, and I was thinking, you know, it hasn't been my favorite time in the MCU, and y'all were talking about like what y'all would have done if y'all were in the room with Kevin Feige and you were like, "Yo, after Endgame, here's this." Some people were saying reboot. You were talking about X-Men. I'm sitting here like, why is everything? Not that I don't like the comedy, but why is that kind of become the number one genre that the MCU's gone into when we have great things like Eternals or Wakanda Forever, or the second half of No Way Home, where it's all this much darker pain stuff? To me, that was like, especially seeing Endgame and all the loss that they had to do to ultimately win. It was like, that's where you go, is that grief and that loss and dealing with that.
I agree with you. I mean, I think that Phase 4 should have been a time of, look, I like Shang-Chi and Eternals, I think, more than a lot of people, you know, but I still think that that Phase 4 should have been about, humanity had the greatest shock of its time on Earth. The shock of learning that you're not alone in the universe, that you had half the population snapped away. You've got cosmic entities that are making Earth their battlefields or playthings or whatever. And they should have dealt with that. I mean, they should have. And of course, well, it's the MCU. How do we make that palatable? But what I find so interesting is look, I think the downfall of the MCU now is the Loki TV series. I thought Loki went way too far. The whole time variance authority, I'm like, what? Okay, you've already given us Thanos and the snap, and now we're watching the Time Variance Authority, and it was way too fantastical. It was way too Terry Gilliam Brazil, and introducing Kang at the end of time and all this stuff. I'm like, wait a minute, you guys, the secret to the MCU is you grounded all of this. You made us believe. I'm watching the time, and I'm the guy that would believe anything, but when I watch Loki, I'm like, I'm out. You went way too far with this. And I understand the Time Variance Authorities in the comics, but I'm like, you guys have pushed, you've brought in fantasy elements, and you've brought in elements that have gone way too far, that have completely removed the Marvel Cinematic Universe from any semblance of our reality.
Yeah.
And it's, I know it's in the comics, it's just too much. And it was it went way beyond, it just strained credulity to I think leaning into it, like the multiverse of madness and all this stuff, none of it, it's all inconsequential. Yeah. When you have a multiverse and people can die and then, oh, they're just on another Earth, who cares? It's too far into fantasy realm. And the thing about the MCU is it always stayed, even with Infinity War and Endgame, it was still grounded. Like, one of the great things about Infinity War that I love is when they're finally in the Sanctum Sanctorum, and you've got Wong, you've got Doctor Strange, you have Hulk, you have Banner, you have Tony Stark, and they're all like bickering, and they're talking about Ben and Jerry's ice cream. I mean, and even though they're suddenly talking about Thanos, and Tony Stark's like, who's Thanos? You know, and you get the whole explanation, and they give you Basil exposition and all that. It's still a bunch of dudes that you're like, okay, like Wong is still a dude. I want a deli sandwich. I don't have any money. Can you give me some shekels or whatever so I can go around the corner and buy some food? I mean, it's all, and that's the kind of stuff that's fun. And then when they're out, that whole battle with Ebony Maw and all that in New York was awesome.
It's so good. If I can push back a little bit, because I do agree with how crazy everything's gotten in the MCU, but I think in intention, when you look at what they were doing in the Infinity Saga, and then you're looking at how do we go forward after Endgame, and there is that time travel, and there's that great conversation between the Ancient One and Hulk talking about time and the multiverse. I can kind of see how it would feel natural to go and lean into time and the multiverse.
Sure.
But at the same time, like you're saying, and I personally enjoyed the Loki show, but there were some things when they're trying to explain to Loki how he's not allowed to do one thing, but the Avengers could go back in time and change something because that was always supposed to happen. And I'm like, how does that work in the sacred timeline? I think it just needed a lot more fleshing out. If I were in charge, I would have been like, all right, guys, let's take phase 4 as a phase to rebuild things before we go into our next big thing, either that or reboot. That's what I would have done.
Yeah, well, I just think that also, Kang as a villain kind of was defeated twice.
Yeah.
Whether it was in Quantumania or whether it was in Loki. I think here's the thing, what people want and what the MCU is so good at was making us believe that these characters may exist. Like, it's always suspension of disbelief. But
Iron Man is so grounded.
It's so grounded. It's so in the real world. And by the way, I mean, it's, despite the fact that it's a period piece, even you have Captain America, when Dr. Erskine and Steve Rogers are right before he takes the serum, they have that moment where they're having a drink together, and Steve Rogers is about to drink. Oh, no, you can't have that. And there's that great exchange. I mean, these are just two guys having a drink, and you compare that to where we're at now, and I think that it's gone off the rails, and they've forgotten. And they're wanting to one up them. They should have taken a cue from the Bond franchise. After Moonraker, they made For Your Eyes Only and brought Bond down to earth and told the spy thriller story. And it's funny because they tried to do that with Black Widow, and I think half of Black Widow is quite excellent. By the time they get to the ramshackle shield helicarrier in the sky, it's like, okay, I get it, But the first half of Black Widow I actually really liked, with her as a kid in America and how they had to escape and all that stuff, but because it's about people, which is, I think, when it works best.
Thanks, Israel. But by the way, Israel, there's a question from Bill Barkley in the chat for you, saying he managed to find the instrumental version of Thunderbirds 2086, which is basically an anime show. And then he says the name of it is something Techno Voyager. So don't know if that was something you were discussing earlier, but you might want to go check that out. Or check in with Bill Barkley about it. All right.
All right.
Next up is Vixter. We got you here, Victoria. Welcome. You should be able to unmute.
Hello.
Hello, Vixter. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Not too bad. I'm in my new flat. Still got some things to move over.
Yeah, I was going to say, it looks nice with the window behind you and all that.
Yeah, it's all right. I'm starting to arrange the bookshelves with the DVDs and the 4Ks. Now I've started with the 4K. So
as well, you should.
Yeah. So that's going to get addictive, I think. It's a bit of a worry.
Oh no, don't think it's addictive. You don't have a choice.
But because I'm going to something very exciting tomorrow, and I've not many people care, but I'll tell you. But before I do that, I think it was one of the midnight musings in the last few days. You spoke about Sleep No More, Rob.
I did. Oh.
Have you still got yours? Did you?
I do not still have mine. I lost it in New York. So you saw it, so you know what it is.
I've been a couple of times because they're a company called Punch Drunk, and they did one in London a few years ago, and then I went to Sleep No More, and they've got one on in London at the moment that I need to go and see. But yeah, I thought it was quite cool when you said you'd been, because I was like, oh, Sleep No More was great. I had good fun.
It was amazing. It freaked me out. It was amazing. It was so immersive, and I had so much fun doing it.
Because it's weird though, because even though I did it twice, you never get the full thing, and because Sleep No More was because Sleep No More was Macbeth. But then there was also another story going on that didn't seem to be Macbeth at all, and I was following a lot of those characters for one thing, and I was like, I have no idea what this has got to do with Macbeth, but it was. Yeah, the experience of going around and being able to go in and out of those rooms and open drawers. And I got pulled aside by a couple of the kind of people to go when they kind of pull people aside and take them into rooms on their own and all that stuff, which was really quite cool. So
yeah. I mean, it's amazing. There's a great here, I'll put it in the chat. There's a great site that I've gone to a number of times about Sleep No More. And for those of you who don't know what Sleep No More is, it's a here, I'll put it in the chat. There it is. It's an experience. You know, it's a play that you're in the middle of. And
yeah.
Did you see it in New York?
Yeah, because Sleep No More and Sleep No More hasn't been to London yet. So there's a couple of
so
times
you saw it you saw it at the McKittrick Hotel where we. I mean,
which it still is, I think.
Yeah, it's incredible that in New York they had this giant warehouse where they were able to stage it. And they've been doing it. I mean, I went and saw it. I saw it in 2013.
And
I saw it 10 years ago.
Must have been 2016 maybe when I went. It was a while ago.
And then there's a restaurant. There's a restaurant on the top of the hotel that we went to afterwards too. And that was great. I mean, the whole thing was amazing.
Yeah. So I thought that was cool because I don't know anybody other than a couple of theatre friends here who've been to New York. I don't know anybody else who's been. So I thought that was cool. But the other thing I wanted to, because I'm very excited about this, and not many people care.
Oh, you know what it is? It's Macbeth, and it's Hitchcock's Rebecca, or not?
Oh, you're right.
It's
that
Rebecca.
Is what it is. Oh, that makes that does ring a bell. Yeah, I followed I followed that most of the time. I realised after about 2 hours. So. But yeah, but tomorrow night, I'm very excited about this, even though I'm going to be tired all week. Succession finale tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night. Oh, right, tomorrow night, because I keep thinking tonight's Sunday. It's not. It's tomorrow.
Yeah, and I am and I don't know how I did this. Clearly, somebody was looking down on me and giving me some good luck for a change.
But only in a good way. They weren't looking down on you in a bad way.
But I am I think there's about 400. Maybe 450 seats in the British Film Institute's biggest cinema.
Oh, really?
I am one of the lucky few who will be watching. Well, hang on, how does it work? It starts at midnight UK time tomorrow night. Right. So midnight, we've got an hour with Jesse Armstrong chatting to us about making the show.
So from midnight to 1 in the morning?
Yeah, and then we have a half an hour break from 1 to 1:30. Then 1:30 till 2, Jesse comes back to talk some more, and then 2:00 is when it airs live for you guys at the normal time. So then we will all watch it live at 2 a.m. in the BFI with Jesse Armstrong. I know Lucy Preble's coming as well, because I saw her at a podcast earlier in the week and she said she was going. So that's going to be very cool. I'm very excited.
Do you have a theory? What's going to happen?
I still think it's going to probably be Kendall becoming his dad, because that feels like that's where this always has been going. Or if it's going to be Skarsgård taking over, then I'm going to say he picks Tom or Jerry. Because this whole he's going to pick Greg just feels a bit too ridiculous to me. But,
it might be, but I heard a great theory. So, so here's a theory that I read this today, or I saw a TikTok video. So Tom Wambsgans, right? That's Tom. Okay. There was a baseball player named Bill Wambsgans.
Right.
William Adolph Wambsgans, who was born in 1894.
Okay.
And he was
I'll allow the name then.
he was a second baseman in Major League Baseball. Now, here's what he's known for. I'm going to read this to you.
Okay.
In Game 5 of the 1920 World Series, played at League Park, Wambsgans caught a 5th inning line drive, battled by Clarence Mitchell, stepped on second base to retire Pete Kilduff, and tagged Otto Miller coming from first base to complete the only unassisted triple play in World Series history. He took out 3 people.
Oh, I see where this is going.
People in one play.
Oh, okay.
Earlier in the game, Wambsgans' teammate Elmer Smith hit the first grand slam in World Series history off Brooklyn Robins pitcher Burley Grimes in the first inning with none out. The historic blast scored Charlie Jameson, Wambsgans, Tris Speaker, and Smith. Brooklyn fell to the Indians in an 8-1 loss. Cleveland winning pitcher Jim Bagby helped himself by hitting 3 home runs in the third. It was the first home run hit by a pitcher in modern World Series history. After this World Series, Cleveland fans presented Wambsgans with a medal to commemorate the unassisted triple play. The medal was lost following April while Wambsgans was traveling aboard a train. Somebody brought this up to me. What would be the triple play? Who would you take out? You take out you take out Kendall, you take out Shiv, and you take out Roman in a triple play, and you become the CEO of Waystar Royco in the United States or something. Now, I knew nothing about Wambsgans. Somebody was really like, why is that name? Doing some research. Is that what's going to happen? I don't know, but I do think that was interesting. That name came from, because I think that the show is too smart. It's going to end in such a way, because I can't wait. I haven't been so excited to see something in a long time. I can't wait. We'll see.
Thanks, Victor. Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, Rob, the way that it got set up in this last episode, you can tell that Mencken has really no loyalty to the folks at ATN, and the idea that is being presented that Shiv would be the CEO if he were to let the deal go through, he's not going to go for that. He's going to let the deal go through, and then it's going to be Skarsgård is going to betray Shiv, and then
the way Shiv is talking to everybody, she's talking like she thinks she knows what's up. She's getting, pardon my French, she's going to get fucked.
She's getting stabbed on the back and
by everybody.
And even like the little hint when they showed Mencken talking to Roman in the reception in the post funeral, and he's being like totally like almost shaming him for crying and getting emotional. He has no love. He's done for him what he needed him to do, and now it's all about how he can basically continue to manipulate ATN. And who better to do that than to put Tom and Greg in charge?
Yeah, and I think that's what's going to happen.
Totally.
Because the thing is, Kendall, Roman, and Shiv think, look, their father said it. You're not serious people.
Mm-hmm.
And they're play acting. You know, when Roman fired Annabeth Gish as the head of the studio,
yeah,
all the things they're doing they're all stupid. They're all based on ego and yeah.
Ultimately, Menken's gonna do to ATN what ATN thinks they've done by putting Menken on power. This idea of having him in his pocket is gonna be the other way around. So,
but I do think it's gonna end kind of like the movie Flash Gordon, when Ming the Merciless is dead, and then Ming's ring is on the ground, and somebody reaches over and picks it up, and you hear because there's gonna be somebody, you know, in the background. But I think that I think that that's the problem, is that, you know, none of these the idea of succession. I don't think there can be succession anymore in our world, because there's nobody who was Logan Roy. There was nobody. No one in his family, unfortunately, could have done what he did. Yeah. And he even says that. I mean, they never defeated him. They tried to take him down the whole show, and he's like, "You're not serious people."
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we'll see. It's going to be really interesting.
We don't have serious people here, but we do have goof people here, such as Tom Jr. Jackson.
We have Tom Jr. Jackson sitting there. Look, he's in the same police station at the end of Ferris Bueller's Day Off with Ferris's sister. Why don't you put your thumb up your butt? That's what he says.
Hey, Rob.
What's going on, man? Thanks for those birthday cards.
I actually have a message. I have a message for you from Josh Rakuzas.
Oh no, Rosowskis.
He wanted me to tell you he couldn't make it today because he had a family thing going on, but he sent you a DM on Twitter.
Yes, I read it.
Okay.
About what happened to his player. Yes.
Yeah, so he wanted me to at least bring that up to you.
Yes.
I said no problem.
Josh Rosowskis.
Everybody comes to me. Tom, is there a show tonight? Tom, is Rob doing a show? Tom, could you pass this message on to Rob? I'm like, I'm not his secretary.
Maybe I should make you the executive secretary of the channel.
The goof secretary.
The goof secretary. The goof emeritus.
Yeah.
Or emeritus. No, you're the goof emeritus.
I'm glad you liked the cards. I couldn't decide which ones to get. They were both funny, and I'm like,
they were both funny. The alien one was funny.
Yeah, I like that alien one, but the trash panda one made me laugh so hard in this.
So hard.
I gotta say.
No, it was really, really funny.
And I love the inside. Oh, by the way, are you gonna eat that wrapper?
Yeah, it was good. It was good. Thank you, by the way.
Yeah, I liked the alien one because it looked kind of cerebral in a way.
Yeah,
funny as well.
Well, I like the fact that when I got this mail, because it looked like there were two identical envelopes, and for a minute I had to do it like, did you? But they were handwritten, and they looked. You know, your writing looked exact. It looked exact. It looked like they were two of the exact same envelopes, but I knew you hand mailed them to me, so I was like, "What? Wow, this is freaky." And then there were two different cards in them, so I'm like, "Okay, that's cool. Thank you. That meant a lot."
You're probably like, did I take something?
Yeah, I was like, what is this? Well, it was weird because I didn't get them until yesterday because I went to we had our mail stopped because the post op, our mailbox, the way you could drive up to it, the road had been sort of eroded underneath it. So they weren't delivering to us anymore. And then a guy here fixed it, but they had forgotten to deliver our mail last week, like 2 days I hadn't got. So I went and got it. And then I saw your cards yesterday. So I didn't get them till yesterday, but thank you.
You're welcome. We got a lawnmower yesterday for free, like an electric one, and I finally did the lawn. And the stupid thing was I should have worn a mask because afterwards I had allergies beyond belief.
Oh yeah, dude. The worst. Cut grass.
Yeah.
I still have allergies.
Well, for a while there, we had to cut the grass. We were using like a weed whacker to do it. And it was a way to do it. It made it a bit more difficult to do, but at least I got out there and I got the exercise and whatnot. I got this done all within probably about 30 minutes. You know, it's not that big of a lawn, but I took my time with it. I had to pick up all these stuff in the yard and, you know, branches and whatnot.
We were doing the same thing. We had all this, the cleaning up the yard. We've got a dumpster and we filled up the dumpster yesterday and did a lot of nice spring cleaning, getting ready for summer. So that was good.
So how many puppies do you have left?
We have 4, but we might have 3 left today. And yeah. And I would like them gone. I love them. But it's been 12 weeks.
You're becoming attached to them, aren't you?
One of them, yeah. One of them I want to keep. And we just can't. We can't keep the puppy. I mean, they're great. These puppies are incredible. The people that have taken them have loved them. You know, they've been socialized around other dogs. They've been socialized around people. They're not scared or bashful. I mean, I think when you rehouse them to give them to people, there's probably a couple of days adjustment that the puppies are like, wait a minute, where are all my siblings and where are all the people that have been waiting on me hand and foot? So there's probably a little bit of an adjustment period, but they're great. They're really great dogs. And we've potty trained them as much as we could. You know, when they get rehoused, they have to figure out, well, where do I go to the bathroom now? But for the most part, they understand. I mean, we've raised these puppies literally in our bedroom. So we have a big pen that goes from our bedroom outside into the out. So there's an indoor and outdoor area that we've built. But then right now they're running free in the backyard with our 3 big dogs, with Gilbert, Tallulah, and Sebastian. But they're great. Those dogs are fantastic dogs, and they're so cute.
Yeah, what did we do on the? We did the watch party for Pearl Harbor the other night.
Yeah,
and I enjoy the fact that sometimes it'll be on your channel and RM's channel, and so I do double duty on both channels. Or like if you're on and then she's on, I go back and forth between them, and it keeps me on my toes, but it's fun. So watching Pearl Harbor, it's like a 3-hour movie, but it doesn't feel that way. It's a little bit slow at the beginning, but then it picks up, and it feels more like a condensed 2.5 hour movie, but it's really 3 hours and 3 minutes. I saw someone come into the chat, went 3 hours, 3 minutes. Oh, bye.
Yeah, no, it's fun. It's fun to watch. Was our Midnight Metal or our Midnight Musings off the rails last night? I thought it was pretty fun.
It was very fun, and I didn't see anybody come in and causing trouble. And it's fun. People, a lot of the people that come to the chats and stuff, they love the fact that I'm there, and I've seen people who have started problems, so I've had to talk to them, and other channel members going, don't do that to Tom. You don't want to do that. And because I give people the benefit of the doubt. I say, look, if you're going to cause trouble, I'm going to time you out. And if you come back and keep up, then I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to boot you.
Well,
and I don't want to have to do that. And people will either apologize or just stop and go away.
Well, that's good. I mean, RM and I were spicy last night, so I figured it was quite the spicy show.
I was getting that way. I was getting that way too. And every time you would mention, I think like OnlyFans, I go, what? Okay. And I'd start putting in Lana's thing for it. And and I think at one point I wrote in the chat, I said, Rob, do you just want me to put up a link for Pornhub? And I was just hoping you would see that. And I wanted you to go, no, Tom, don't do that. Don't do that, Tom.
You porn.
Yeah, you porn. That's it. You porn.
No, it's funny because Lana's I've been told, she even told me that her OnlyFans is pretty chaste. But you know, to Lon and Alan are great. And I thought our new review for Jacob's Ladder was pretty interesting. I liked it. I didn't know they were doing that. But it's up. Everyone watch her review. Her playlist is getting bigger, so I think it's pretty great. The quality that they bring to those reviews is really, really good. And there's going to be a new episode of Architects of Imagination that I want more people to watch, because I think that show's really, really good. So hopefully people will.
Thanks, Tom. We got a couple of super chat questions here. King Tanic says that he meant to ask your thoughts on the upcoming Transformers box office. Apparently predictions are anywhere between 40 to 75 million. What do you think?
Yeah, it's not tracking well. Look, I mean, I think here's the thing. I think Transformers, I loved Bumblebee. I thought Bumblebee was a really great Transformers movie. I thought, and I liked the first and the third Michael Bay Transformers movies. But I think that if Rise of the Beasts is a good movie, it's going to make money. But I think that, you know, even Transformers is a little creaky as far as IPs are concerned. And, you know, it's been a while since Bumblebee, but it looks cool. I mean, I want to see it. It's not tracking that well. And, I mean, this is a $1 billion franchise. This is some of those Transformers movies made over $1 billion, and to be tracking with an opening of 40 to 75 is not great.
Right.
But look, I want it to be good because it's science fiction, fantasy, and horror, and I hope that I hope the movie's good. You know, I want it to be good. So we shall see.
All right,
if it's good, I think it's going to open with more. If it's satisfying and people dig it, but it's hard to say because I like the trailers, I like what I've seen, but I have no indication about what it's going to be like.
Right
at the end, watching it.
Well, and it's one of those franchises that has gone through the fool me once, fool me twice kind of, you know, a couple of times. And so even though Bumblebee was good and this one is tracking to be early reviews are saying it's pretty good, I think there's some bad blood from previous installments that people are just not sure they want to invest, at least in going to the movies to go see it. Maybe they're more willing to wait till it comes out in home video or something.
Yeah.
Yep. We also have another super. Thanks for that super chat, King Tanic. We have another super chat from Science Narrator, £10. Have you watched Control, the movie about Joy Division? Regarding train spotting, I had a huge crush on J.L. Miller. Is there a movie which sends you back in time to your naughty youth? Where are the teen movies now?
Oh, Risky Business does. I mean, a
great soundtrack too on that one.
Oh, great sound. I mean, you had Muddy Waters, Manish Boy, you had Prince, DMSR, you had Tangerine Dream score.
Yep.
You know, you had old time rock and roll. You know, it's very weird to me. Like, on one hand, you either have shows like Euphoria and now The Idol.
Yeah.
Like where it's all dark and twisted and all, or it's relatively chaste. Whereas, like, when we were growing up, we got like Tom Cruise movies, not just Risky Business, but All the Right Moves.
Right. You
know, or movies like a movie I really like. James Foley directed a movie called Reckless. I was talking about with Aidan Quinn and Daryl Hannah. About one, Daryl Hannah is a cheerleader, and Aidan Quinn's like the misfit bad boy, but they have a sexual relationship in high school. Or, you know, or the Adrian Lyne movie Foxes that he made before he made Flashdance, where you have these four troubled teen girls in LA. I mean, it seems to me that we used to have a mix of the kinds of movies that we got about teenagers, and now it's either totally extreme or it's totally like the movie about the Asian girl who's her boyfriends, they're making multiple versions of those, like my best friend's boyfriend. I don't know what it's called.
Yeah.
With Lana, I forget her name. But then they make those, and I'll tell you one thing. One of the great movies. Here's one. This is going to be the box office sleeper hit of the summer of 2023.
Okay.
Joyride. Joyride is about 4 Asian women in their 20s, early 30s, no, late 20s. It is absolutely filthy. There's stuff in this movie that is so hilarious. There's an ongoing joke that has one of the greatest visual payoffs in a comedy movie I've seen in years.
Nice.
And it's so extreme. I was like, and talk about a movie that embraces sexuality. And man, there is some absolutely filthy shit in this movie. It is great. Do not sleep on Joyride. I read somewhere that they wanted to call the movie the Joy Fuck Club. and they couldn't call it that. Let me just tell you, if you want to laugh your ass off, there's a reason why Lionsgate showed Joyride to all of CinemaCon.
Yeah.
I think it's coming out in July.
Okay.
Do not sleep on Joyride. And go see it with a big audience, because you will laugh your ass off. Or you're gonna, be offended or something. But man, was it funny. I mean, I saw something I never thought I would see in a movie, to be honest. It showed me something and I was like, and it's like a smash cut to it. I was like, oh my God, I couldn't believe it. It was so good.
That's awesome.
And it is a raunchy body comedy about these 4 Asian girls. And one of them goes to find their birth mother in Asia.
Right.
It's you just got to see it, because, and it's a funny little comedy, but man, does it deliver the goods. It delivers the goods. And if they had called it the Joy Fuck Club, that Joyride's fine, but never have I wanted to be. It should have been the Joy F star Club.
Sure.
I mean, and in my mind, kind of like the movie The Raid and The Raid 2 Barandal. In my mind, it's just called The Rad because it's such a rad movie. And the second one is The Rad 2, even radder. So Joyride in my mind is the Joy Fuck Club. I'm never going to change it. It's just called the Joy Fuck Club. And that's what it is. And when you see it, you'll understand why. And it's fucking hilarious. And I think there's a Red Band trailer. Yeah, there is. Go and watch the Joyride trailer, the official Red Band trailer.
All right.
Because and here it is. It is so, and you can see it's so good.
Sounds like a date night movie.
It is such a date night movie.
Yeah. All right. Roger Robertson is here. Welcome, Roger.
What up, dude?
How you doing?
Hello, Rob.
How you doing, man?
Oh, just fine, just fine. I don't want to start out saying R.I.P. for Ray Stevenson.
Oh, I know. That's sad. He was great.
Just really great. Rome is, I think, probably something you're aware of, but he was just outstanding in Rome. One of my favorite characters.
So good. He was so good. And I loved him. I loved him as Frank Castle in Punisher War Journal. Loved it.
Oh yeah, he was great. But I guess I just love that character, Titus Pullo.
Oh yeah.
In Rome, he kind of played kind of a Tom Hanks does, Forrest Gump, where he was just involved in everything.
Yeah.
In history, yeah.
So good.
But, yeah, and all the other stuff, and I've been reading. He's like playing one of the Dark Jedi or whatever he is.
Yeah, he's in Ahsoka.
Yeah, Ahsoka, and I've been reading that Ahsoka may be one of the best Star Wars series that we've seen. Maybe up there with Endor. I don't know.
I'm gonna withhold judgment. I'm gonna hold off on that one.
Oh, I can be. I can. Hopeful. I'll be hopeful. How's that?
Yes, hope springs eternal.
That's right. Hope is more powerful than a universe of antimatter. Remember.
Yes, it's true.
Also, some of the themes that you talked about last night on the midnight. Have you seen the trailer for No Hard Feelings? That's Jennifer Lawrence's new movie.
My God. Cannot wait.
That's just exactly what you've been talking about, right?
Between Joyride and No Hard Feelings, I'm like, perhaps we're reaching an inflection point. We'll think where body sex comedies are going to come back. We need that.
Jennifer Lawrence is I guess she's looking for that kid, and she's going in all these bedrooms during this party, and there's like a guy and a girl, or two guys and a girl. They're all sitting on the bed looking at their phones, and it's like, does anybody fuck anymore?
Yeah, I mean, I love that trailer. I mean, and Jennifer Lawrence is you watch her on her talk show appearances, she's so funny that it's so great to see somebody finally, use her properly. Can I say that properly?
Well, they've never used like you're in a comedic type of role that I can remember.
No, I mean, she was great in like Joy, and she's done funny things, but to see her being an out and out comedy, I love Jennifer Lawrence as a performer. I think she's terrific, and I'm really happy to see this kind of stuff happening for her. So that's really cool.
Yeah, and also, they used to talk about Pearl Harbor. Over Pearl Harbor, I thought I really liked Midway. I thought that was a lot better movie than Pearl Harbor.
The Roland Emmerich Midway, or the original Midway from the 70s?
Yeah, the Roland, the recent one. Yes.
You know what? I like Midway. I mean, again, it had too much. It was too CG. A lot of, because I grew up watching Tora, where you could still see real planes flying. It's hard. It's hard to watch.
I can understand, because we're talking, going on 80 years. Some of these.
Yeah, there are no more. You can't find. There are no more. Those. I mean, hell, they were blowing up Japanese Zeros in the Final Countdown in 1980. That was 43 years ago. I mean, there's no more Japanese Zeros.
They can only keep those things running for so long.
I know.
But
and I get it. I mean,
like
but I like Midway. You know what? It's funny. I forgot about that. I like Midway. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I like how they focused on like the individual pilots. Like, I really didn't even forgot, or if I didn't know, but the one pilot, he was responsible for splashing 2 carriers on the same day.
Yeah. Yep. I liked it. I thought it was good.
Yeah. So, well, Rob is good. Like I said, I enjoyed the Midnight Musings last night, and
that was a banger of a show. I thought it was. Get it? Banger of a show. I thought it was funny. It was very funny. I mean, it was funny because Lael apologized. He fell asleep with LaToya. I said, no, it's fine. I just said, I just want you to know there was a lot of talk about fucking, and you missed it. A lot of talk about fucking. Just saying.
Well, maybe he's doing something else besides talking about.
Well, that could be. I mean, his lady is very beautiful, but I think they both were asleep. They're both asleep, Oh. Did you see when she was dressed up as like Scarlet Witch? He posted pictures of LaToya dressed up as. She looked great.
No,
she looked fantastic.
I bet she did. That was, like I say, I really couldn't blame him for that. But
nope.
But take it easy, Rob, and I'll be talking to you next time.
All right, man. Always good to see you. Always good to see you.
Good to see you, Roger. Thanks for joining us. All right. You're going to have to say it, Rob. Next coming up is...
Wait. Hang on. That was bad. Fernando Barbero. You got to roll the R's to make it sound good. How about that? Did I blow you guys out? Was that too loud?
It sounds great.
That was good. That was good.
You like that? How's it going, man?
Good. Hanging in there. How are you,
okay.
Rob?
I'm good. I am good.
You're
hanging in there.
Yeah, I'm hanging in there. It was a rough recovery this weekend from the treatments. But like I've said before, I'm not blowing smoke up here. You know what? When I go on your show, I feel like I got a burst of energy when I'm on your show. So
well, that's good. Now I still have to ask you though.
Yeah.
How's your mom? How's your mom?
Good. She sends her best. She always wants to know what's up with you and the latest on you. And
do you guys want a puppy? because I got to get rid of some puppies here, man. They're getting bigger.
So I hear you got 3 left. You want to?
Well, hopefully maybe 3 after today. We still got 4. I mean, they're great. The thing is, I want to keep one of them.
Yes.
And I can't do that. We can't have 4 dogs. They can't turn into some weird. I went from having no dogs to 3 dogs, and now it's crazy. But these puppies are so great, you can't not want them. And I'll tell you what happened. So this week I was here in the garage, and suddenly I heard, like, I can hear the puppies, like I know if they're barking or something.
Right.
I heard one of the puppies, and this puppy, Big Red, I heard a sound, and I knew that they were down below here in the backyard, because we have this slope backyard, and I'd never heard this sound before. And I knew something was wrong. And I went outside, and we have a pool, and Big Red was in the pool.
Really?
And yeah, and there's a side step, and I think he probably tried to drink water or whatever. He was halfway in the pool and halfway out, and he couldn't get out. And it's cold water. It's not a heated pool.
Right.
And he was shivering and this poor puppy was 11 weeks old.
Wow.
And I took him out and took him into the bathroom, and obviously he had drank chlorinated water and stuff, and he was totally freaked out. And I held him in my arms, and the sun was still out, so I took him over and got over on our deck so he could be underneath the sun, and I held him and was until he was not shivering, and he has barely left my side.
Really?
Yeah, and it's funny because this is the dog that Picard season 3 showrunner Terry Metalis' wife loves. And I was like, but they already have these 2 big dogs, and I was like, you should take Big Red. But so now Big Red never leave. Like, Big Red knows I saved his life. He knows it. And he will not leave me alone. He follows me everywhere.
Right.
And he's like, I understand you saved my life. And so Elizabeth does not want puppies on our bed because they pee on, you never know when they're gonna. But I always sneak Big Red up on the bed, and he sleeps on my chest, and I give him his scritches and stuff. And Elizabeth's like, she catches me all the time. She's like, God damn it, why do you have a puppy in the bed? And I'm like, you don't understand. I mean, he belongs to me. I saved his life.
So is that the one you're going to keep?
We can't keep him. I mean, and it's funny because I'm always telling Elizabeth, I'm like, so there was a female, my absolute favorite was a female chartreuse.
Right.
And this couple took chartreuse last week. And I told Elizabeth, I'm like, I'm going to sneak her into the Robservatory. She's going to be my side piece, my side dog. I'm going to have her in here. She's going to be in here. No one's going to know. And I'm going to raise her. She's going to be my own. And of course, we had there were 5 girls and 3 boys.
Right.
And there was only 2 girls left when this couple came. And they were having a hard time between Lady Blue and Chartreuse. Lady sings the blues, little mahogany. And I was hoping they wouldn't take Chartreuse, but they did. So, and then I love Big Red, but now since I saved his life, he's become my favorite. But I'm getting ready to bring him in here, but there's no way I could keep a secret dog in the Robservatory because our other dogs would find them. So, but everything else, it's good. Just working, and trying to work on this panel show that I want to start.
Right, and I still am interested.
We still have to stream. Yes. Yeah. Which we should do. We should do. I'm going to do. I don't know if people remember Danica, who was known as Comic Book Girl 19.
Yes.
I used to stream. She is actually going to do a documentary about the Japanese animated film Akira.
Okay.
And she's going to come on the channel this week to promote the Kickstarter. It launches on May 30th. And I always liked her because we would stream on Collider Heroes. So I want to have more people come on the show. So maybe this week we should set something up.
Sounds good.
Because I'd love to. Harloff asked me to be a regular on a show, but it takes 2 hours to drive to where he is. It took me 4 hours to get home. So that was a 6-hour drive time just across LA. And I'm like, I can't do that. It's too much.
Yeah.
But it was great to go on a show.
Let me know. I'll set something. You'll definitely set something up.
Yeah, we should do it Tuesday or Thursday, maybe.
Okay.
I think Wednesday is the 30th, but yeah, Tuesday or Thursday, that'd be good.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, hit me up. We'll do that. Quick question: Did you like Fast X or too much?
Did I like Fast X? I liked it more than I liked Fast 9.
Same here. Yes.
But it's still.
I know the last action scene on the dam was a little too much. It was much like Fast 9.
Yeah, it was, and I'm just like, come on, you know, you can't. There's no reality there anymore. I mean, I still Fast 5 to me is the pinnacle of that franchise.
Agreed.
Because you had things where they're driving, there's a real train, and they're stealing cars out of the train. They go off the cliff, and I believe that as the car's falling, they jump out because they're going into the water, and it wasn't too much. Right. The only thing, those two cars would never have been able to drag that safe behind them. But I that was the one ask. I believed everything except that, and I loved it. I love Fast 5. Yep. Then it's just, but now it's just it's too much. Although the movie is not doing very well domestically, it's doing well worldwide.
Right.
But I think it's going to be interesting to see as a case study, as far as, because I think they've gone too far. I think Fast 9 was too far, and my theory, you've probably heard me say this many times, but what makes car chases fun is we've all ridden in cars. So we know what it's like to drive fast through a city or something. We know how dangerous it can be, and we know what it's like to take a corner too fast in a car. But if you take away the physics of car chases, which is what they've done in the last two Fast and the Furious movies, then they're no fun anymore. Because if there's no physics in car chases, the whole point of having a car chase, the excitement that is generated by the French Connection or To Live and Die in LA or Ronin or Bullet or whatever, is that a car can spin off and crash at any. Nowadays, none of these cars might as well be. I read somebody say that these are movies about mecha. The cars are like Gundam, or they're like Veritex and or Batroids and Robotech. They there's no stakes anymore. So as much as these elaborate action sequences they don't mean anything. You certainly don't feel them because there's no one's going to get hurt. You can just drive a car down the side of a dam and fly off into the water, and that's fine. I mean, and then if that's the case, then what you're watching is no longer exciting. So it's kind of a bummer.
All right, Rob, we have reached the 2-hour mark here. So, my screen is all looking all weird. I'm gonna pull myself out of it. I don't know what happened to my green screen. It's like it's reverse. Oh, it's showing on me instead of on the thing. So let me remove my pin. So I don't doesn't look so disturbing. But we've reached the 2-hour mark, and so we have a couple of super chats. Let's go ahead and read these out, and then we can close out the stream. So the first one is a question from Bill Barkley. Any chance of asking Rob if he's seen the Arnold Schwarzenegger Netflix series Fubar yet? It's kind of sort of True Lies.
I have not seen it yet, but I hear it's great. I can't wait to watch it. And it stars the girl from Top Gun.
Ooh.
I think that yeah.
Nice.
Who I'm obsessed with getting into another movie.
Maria Barbaro, they say.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
And Science Narrator once again coming through with a 10-pound tip. This is talking about Joyride. It sounds like my movie. Thanks for the recommendation. I will go with the girls to watch Joyride. Do you know?
It's so funny.
He's saying, do you know if you're going to Spain? Roberto, you are doing a great job. Well, thank you, Science Narrator. But yeah, do you know if you're going to Spain, Rob?
It's, you know what? Our Spain trip has been postponed because of the writer's strike. And the reason we're going to Spain is because we're going to Madrid to go to Paris Costumes, which is the largest costume warehouse in Europe. And, it was to promote them for people that are making movies and TV shows in Europe. And with the writer's strike going on, they don't want to do it. And I understand. I totally understand. I'm upset. But hopefully when the writer's strike is over, we'll go, because I'm hoping that it'll last all summer and we'll be able to go to Spain in the first week of October so I can go to the Sitges Film Festival. That's what I want to do.
Right.
Go back to Sitges.
Sitges is such an awesome town.
Sitges is the film festival there is the greatest thing ever.
Mm-hmm.
I love that festival. It's so good.
Yeah.
I've been there 5 times. And I've been there 5 times, and 3 times I was there with things I'd made. Free Enterprise had a premiere, its world premiere there. I went there with Femme Fatales. And even though my Femme Fatales episodes played 2 years in a row, I couldn't go to the second year. And then Hills Run Red had screening it at Sitges. It's so great.
That's awesome. All right. Well, I think we're going to say goodbye to our friends on the stream. So thank you, you two. Rob, any parting words, any announcements before we
well, just I want to thank, as always, thanks for being members of the channel. And I would encourage everybody. We have a lot of really great creators on the Burnettwork that they all deserve eyeballs on them. Lana Ewan, of course, King Tannic, Israel, and his Otaku experience, all the things that is doing. K-Pasa PGS, Alex Montano, and you.
Yeah.
And also Architects of Imagination, of which a new episode drops tonight. Video game developers podcast. I think it's really, really good. And there's just a lot of stuff to see on the channel. And I would encourage everybody to take a look at all the different creators that are working on the Burnettwork, because it is, after all, a network on YouTube. Right. It's something new.
Sounds great, Rob. Well, everybody out there in YouTube land, have a great rest of your weekend. If you're celebrating Memorial Day weekend this weekend, have an enjoyable long weekend ahead. And
I should also say thank you to John Campia and the John Campia Show for sponsoring Robservations for the last 2 months. Yeah. I very much appreciate John's patronage and supporting the channel. So I know he's made a lot of changes on his own show. So go in and check out that.
Yeah.
And get it wherever you get your podcasts from.
That's right. He's made a big podcast push recently. So,
mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then those of you who are still in the members only chat, the chat continues. So we'll stick around here and do that. But we're just gonna say goodbye to YouTube. So we will see you guys next time. Bye-bye. Oh, we're gonna mute things.